Hey everyone, this is Bat9657, and okay, you know what? Here, I gotta make this really quick because this has been bugging me for a while now. So recently, Nintendo had their direct, right? You know, the video and everything. Now, here's the thing. I didn't watch the actual video, right? Instead, I watched like someone else watching it to kind of like get the reaction and their opinions involved with it and everything. And overall, from what I've seen, it was good. What they're offering and their old games that they're bringing back from like the GameCube and all that stuff. So it's pretty hyped up, right? And like all these other third-party games too, right? And everything. And of course, they show us the Switch 2 and what it can do and all this stuff. So overall, it's pretty good. And then they start dropping prices down. Now, if I recall right, they said that the price for the Switch 2 was going to be 450, I believe, or basically like 449.99, for the exact price. So with tax, it's gonna be like what, maybe like 470, or something like that, depending on your area and all that stuff, right? But so there's that. And then they got the price for the Joy Cons, which look at those controllers are already expensive enough though. But I think let's see if I recall right, I think it said like $99. I was like 100. I was like 100 basically. I was like, oh my god, you know. And then the okay, so you got the Switch 2 costing that much, which I guess I'm not surprised, but it could be a little cheaper, I guess. Yeah, so is that. Then you got the Joy-Cons, where I'm just like, ugh, jeez. And again, too, I'm already fed up with the price on the Joy-Cons right now. And then what, like, broke the camel's back, you could say, or like, what, three strikes are out, is the prices on the games. That's what really threw me off right there. Because, what was it? Like, $80 for digital, but $90 for physical. On top of that, too, I think they mentioned the physical. It wasn't like the actual physical. It was like some kind of like cartridge or something, to where you put the game in, and then you got like a download or something. Here, I could be wrong about that. Okay, so again, I'm just making this right now because I gotta get my thoughts out there, you know. But I think that's what they said. If not, then I'm wrong. And okay, cool. But I'm pretty sure it's like you get the physical, but it's not the actual game in there. It's like you have to kind of download it. So technically speaking, it's not digital. I mean, what? I don't know, but that's what it is. And this is just ridiculous. Oh my gosh, it really is. I'm just... Okay, here. So, for me, besides the whole price, right, and so forth, here's the thing. I was pretty much someone who was all into Nintendo, right? Because, well, back then, my very first console was the Super NES, okay? Like, back in the 90s, right? And then I got the N64, and then I got the GameCube, right? And all cool, done, and so forth. So I was all for Nintendo. And I wasn't into PlayStation and so forth because, yeah, I had the PS1, but I barely played that, But it wasn't until I got the PS2 then that's when I started getting more into PlayStation. And then, eventually it came out the Wii, the PS3, and 360, right? And I had all those three consoles, and I liked all those three consoles, but I was still more of Nintendo, Wii and all that stuff, right? But it wasn't until like PS4 came out, then I started to, lean more towards PlayStation. And I didn't get Xbox One, because that they screw me over with the whole One crap. If the whole media-based stuff like that, internet access only. I lived out in the country, so internet, high-speed internet was like crap. Okay, I'll say that much. So that's why I was like, nah. So ever since then, I've never been much into Xbox at all. So that happened, right? But again, too, I started to follow more on PlayStation and less on Nintendo. And yeah, I did eventually get the Switch, and that's cool and all, right? I did enjoy it, all the games and so forth. But I don't know, just like the stuff they're doing and the prices and the whole thing where it's like they're selling you the same thing over and over again, each year, kind of like those like sports games, which I'm not into those sports games, even like Call of Duty and stuff, right? I mean, I am into like the shooting games, but basically it's like, yeah, they're selling the same thing year and year, and Nintendo's doing the same thing with like Pokemon and all that stuff, with of course adjustments or like here's a new feature, right? But overall, it's pretty much the same thing. Now here's the thing. I do like Pokemon, been playing since the very first, all in the beginning, okay, and like from like red, blue, yellow, that stuff, right? But I will admit though, I pretty much stopped playing after I want to say, what was it, X and Y, if not Sun and Moon. I think now think about it, I think I do have Moon. I don't know, I forgot, but I forgot which one came first or came last. But either way, it was like one of those two. That's where I stopped playing Pokemon. And no, I haven't got the ones on the Switch or whatever so forth, because nah. But I mean, here, now I think about it, I think the latest Pokemon game that I played was Pokken. Basically, the Pokemon cross Tekken, so for the fighting game. That's really cool, by the way. Okay, so I'm really into that. But anyways, yeah. So besides that, though, yeah, they're pretty much just saying the same thing over and over again. Even with Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart is a classic. It'll always sell and everything. And I liked it what they showed us. What was it, like Mario Kart World or something like that? That's really cool. It really is. But again, going back to what I'm saying before, the price, though, man, is just, I don't know. And here, just think right now, just kind of, it's gonna be like a headache. But of course, it's just Nintendo being Nintendo. They're just being greedy about it, and it's just ridiculous. But here's the thing too. I remember because I was born in 1992, right? So when the the N64 came out, if I recall right, I think that was 96, if not 97, somewhere in the late 90s. That I know for sure. So I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that, right? Then GameCube came out. I believe that was 2001, like towards the end of it. So I was like 9 or 10 years old, when it came out. And again, I have fond memories of it and everything and so forth. And back then, if I recall right too, I think back then, Xbox and PlayStation, right? They were selling the games for like $50 high price, brand new. Nintendo, a few of their games were the same price, but I think brand new games for Nintendo was like $40. If not, half the games were 40 and half the games were 50, if I recall right. And to me, I thought that, obviously, I mean, I was a kid, I didn't know better. But thinking back then, I think that was still, kind of a fair price, and so forth. And it was like that too with, the PS3, 360, and Wii, right? Still. But of course, the price went up as soon as the next generation came out with PS4 and Xbox One, to where it's like now it's like 60. I've always hated that, okay? I've always hated the games costing that much. I never liked them costing $60 because to me personally, I don't think these games are worth that much. Now, to me, I think they're only worth $60 if it's like the game plus something else, I think that's, that can justify it, then fine, it is what it is. But ever since they had the whole $60 price thing, I never liked it at all, period. I really didn't. And then, of course, they kept that, and then now all these games cost $60, and you might find a game that costs $50, but it's not like a popular game or something, or the price will go down to like $40 at most. But it's funny how you go to like Walmart, Target, or whatever, right? And you still see these Switch games that have been out for years, and they're still marketed as like $60 or something. It's like, holy crap. It's like, come on, Nintendo. Like, dang, I know you want money, but geez, man. And it's just ridiculous. It really is. Now, that's not all the games, I know, but like, it's just there are games, like the Nintendo games. It's like that. And then sometimes they might throw a sale in, but it's like what, limited time only or something like that, And that's why, that's just like one of the reasons why I fell off of Nintendo. I mean, you got PlayStation games like out there too, and yeah, they have their own games too. But at least they're marketing their games cheaper as time goes on. That's just like, isn't that kind of common sense, or like that's just how things are, business wise. Everything is older, so everything is cheaper. But nope, God forbid Nintendo does it. Oh man, I don't know. So like I said, I just remember how games cost that much. Then all of a sudden, 20 plus years later, went from 40 to 80, or basically 90, I guess, for physical. So they literally doubled their price, and I never thought I would see the day. Well, I guess, you know what, here, I guess I'll take that back. I mean, I guess it was inevitable this would happen, but it's just weird to, like, I guess, like, live and see it. It's just like, jeez, man. I don't know. Now, as for the actual console, well, it was going to $450, right? The price of it. Yeah, I think that's just a little high. Maybe if it was like at least or the most like $400, then fine, I guess. Because it's a new console and everything and so forth. Oh, speaking of console, let's get into that too as well. So, with the features that they're having, yeah, they're cool and all with the whole mouse thing and the chat room or something like that, But for me, I was watching it and I was just laughing because I'm just like, what you guys are showing us is what the other people are already doing, like what the PS5 for example, right? Even PS4, I think too, whatever. Like this whole like I don't know what game sharing thing and so forth, or like sharing broadcasts and all that stuff. There's like, oh look at this, then we can do this, or like the whole chat thing. They even showed you kind of like a chat room, right? And of course the frames were like kind of crappy, but hey, at least they're showing us that, not like lying to us, say, oh it's smooth. But like what they're showing, I'm just sitting there like, so you guys are now doing what they kind of already been doing for the past few years with like the PS, like your competitors, because that's what it is. It's like your competitors have been doing this for years, and now you're just like now catching up to it. Now, granted, they actually kind of been doing this, like Nintendo has always been behind on like their technology stuff, and equipment and everything, and so forth. So it's just like, yeah, I guess this is to be expected, but at the same time too, it's kind of like, really? You're still like not caught up, or you're still just catching behind, or you're still like, hey, look at this, now we finally have it, instead of that app thing, what was it again, like the Nintendo app, we had to chat people or something like that. I don't know. It's just like, what are you doing? It's like, come on. It's I don't know. I'm just still baffled by all of this. I mean, what was it, yesterday this happened, I think, or something like that. I don't know, but and here, honestly, I'm just going on a rant. I really am, because I just feel like I had to get my personal thoughts out there. And again, to look at, like, I've been playing games for almost 30 years. Ever since I was 3 years old. I turned 33 in July. So yeah, almost like 30 years I've been playing games. So I know the passion, the frustration, and all that stuff, the good, bad, ugly, all that stuff, right? So I get it and everything, and just seeing how games evolved is cool, it really is, and so forth. But jeez, man, like the prices, and then this company is just not budging or moving, right? And here's the thing too, whatever. Like, if you've seen my last video, right, called "It's Just a Game, Bro," or something like that, that was basically just me talking about like more like gacha games, overall. I mean, yeah, it's about the games, but overall, it's just mainly just gacha games. I guess like half the video, and yeah, it's just like I'll say it's just a game, bro, and this and that sort of blah blah, right? Which it is, and everything, But unlike that video where I was like mostly talking about gacha games, to where they're free, they're free to play. And yeah, these companies can put price on them and so forth. But it's like, well, who cares? You don't really need all this stuff to play a game. This is kind of different. This is actually actual game companies who's been there for decades, and they're selling their stuff as products, actual brand name products and everything. This is like, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Now, for me personally, am I gonna buy the system? Here's the thing. Am I going to buy it on day one, like when it comes out? No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, get this or not. And I want to, because it's so cool in there and so forth. But just here, look at it. Personally, honestly, I can bypass the price of the console. Okay, I could just go through that, like fine, whatever. The Joy-Con thing, ugh. I hate the price of Joy-Con, but it is what it is, And that's what it is. It's like, it is what it is. But honestly, right now, it's just like, nah, man. So the console thing, okay, yeah, I probably could. I could probably pass that. The Joy-Con price, I can't. There's not. But like I said, the game thing, now I really can't. Nah, man. $80, $90 for the game. Now I get it, because people would argue and say like, that the prices matter because of how much time and effort they put into these games and all that stuff, which, okay, I guess fair enough in a way and so forth. But like, you gotta think about the actual consumer price, man. Now, I heard someone said that they had these prices to actually more focus on their country in Japan, like what their people and so forth. So I get that part, And I mean, like, what if we sell stuff here in the U.S.? Of course, we'll be more focused on like our people, So that right there kind of makes sense, but this whole price thing, it doesn't. And these are prices enough around here, right? I just can't. I mean, and not that too though. But one thing that did shock me too was the release date. What was it, June 2nd, something like that? So in 2 months, right? Which is kind of crazy for a console to be like, hey, here's this. I mean, like, yeah, we kind of been knowing this for like a few months, leaks and all that stuff. But now that they officially said, oh, wow, it's coming in 2 months, it's like, oh, wow, cool. So that's kind of soon. Unlike years where they say, excuse me, where they say like, oh, PS3 is coming out in 4 months or so, whatever. Now I said, oh, 2 months. That's cool, but these prices, oh my god. And here's the bad part about this too, is that like you're gonna have some hard fans who are just gonna buy it, and that's kind of like a given. It really is. Like, come on, let's be honest. People are gonna buy it, and or they get the money for it. But yeah, sure, blah blah. Or like the scalpers, But this time, I honestly hope that it doesn't. Jeez. I don't want to say I hope it fails, because here's the thing. I don't want this to fail. I really don't, because it looks cool. And yeah, like I said, I still like Nintendo, but not as much as I did before. Now I'm more into like PlayStation more. But like I don't want them to fail, but I do want them to see this and get hit by it, kind of like a slap on the wrist, and be like, yeah, no, don't do that. And that they change what they gotta do. They lower the prices, or do something. Because this is ridiculous. It really is. And of course, my concern is this too. Is that like, now other game companies are going to see this, right? And they'd be like, oh, well, Nintendo's doing it, so why can't we? And that's where, the whole domino effect comes in. And I don't know. It's just going to be a huge problem, Now, again, too, whatever, someone in here who's seen my other video or whatever and seen this, they might be saying, like, I'm being kind of like a hypocrite in a way about, like, saying, like, oh, it's just a game. Here, yeah, it is just a game, Like, like what these consoles are just items for entertainment. And no, I don't need them. And no one needs them, But it's just that, like, like I said, this is kind of different than compared to what I was saying before. It's just like, I don't know. That, and also, I guess for me, I take it just a little more personal about it, however, because, like I said, I've been playing games for almost like 30 years, right? And Nintendo has been with me since, the beginning of that time. So now to see like this, it's kind of like, what happened to you, man? I don't know. But anyways, I don't know. And so sorry about this. I'm just making a rant because I'm just like, I gotta say something about this. Just get my thoughts out there. But hopefully these changes there and so forth, and hopefully they do see the backlash on this too, because this is ridiculous. And I don't know. So do I want them to succeed? Yes, I do. But saying it too, it's like, no, learn your lesson. And if you can't, then if you fail, hey, you fail. Anyways, but jeez, this is giving me a headache. Or I'm just like, my gosh. But anyways, all right. Well, appreciate for your time so far about my dumb rant, I guess. But yeah, I try to get this out there. But otherwise, yeah, have a good time.